to survive the classroom.
Let's jump in to our first fan voicemail that was sent in this week.
So I am a music teacher in a small rural town, and this is my 16th year teaching. But these many years ago, when I was a little 23, 24-year-old teacher who had recently got engaged, I was teaching middle school choir. And middle school choir is always like the weirdest part of my day. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's terrifying. It's a really mixed bag. And this was one of the terrifying days. At the end of class, I had this girl come up to me, seventh grade girl, and she said to me in front of the entire class, "So, is it true that you're pregnant? Because that's what everyone is saying because you keep getting bigger." And like hand motions included of my supposedly expanding waistline. And I was pretty much floored at that point. I didn't know what to say. I think I just sort of looked at her in horror and then like looked down at my stomach to see if I did in fact look pregnant. I was not pregnant, and I was deeply, deeply mortified. And then I think I said something like, "No." And I didn't even know what else to say. And then she just like waltzed out of the classroom. And everybody else was horrified too. There was no passing time. My next class was coming in immediately after that. And so I had to like get through my next choir class going, "Oh my gosh, does everybody in town actually think I'm pregnant? Is there a rumor going around that I'm pregnant and I'm not?" And there was not a rumor going around. I don't know where this girl came up with that idea or why she thought she should ask me that in front of the entire class. I later found out that all the other students were equally horrified and talked to their homeroom teacher about it, who later addressed it with the girl, which was good because I would have had no idea what to say. Yeah, so that's probably my most mortifying classroom experience.
I feel like for a lot of us female teachers, we've had that experience. Like, God forbid we gain a couple of pounds because they will let us know every time. I remember actually it was when I was an early career teacher as well. And my weight would fluctuate kind of a lot. And I had the same question. I had students being like, "Are you pregnant though? You pregnant?" And I mean, I would like, and it was also a small town, but it wasn't a small town I was from. So even if the whole town thought I was pregnant, it probably wouldn't have meant much to like almost anybody. But I have been in that exact same boat. And actually, so I did a tour this week with my students because we're touring around all of these different schools because they're about to go into the field. And so I have the administrator come out, talk to them, share advice, share like what their policies are at the specific school, all of that kind of stuff. It's fantastic. It's really nice. It's like a student teaching before student teaching. And we went this week, and one of my students asked one of the administrators, like, "Hey, how do you handle it when students say something that is genuinely really funny?" Because he had already kind of talked about like anything that you could possibly imagine a student could say to you will be said to you. Like things that you didn't ask for, things that you did not try and jump into any of their business, and they will just volunteer information like very quickly. And she followed up the question of like, "What do you do if it's really, really funny?" And his answer was like, "You got to learn how to kind of like lock it down. Like you can laugh about it later, but in the moment, it's like if you have a toddler that swears, you don't want to encourage that behavior because that's not appropriate. And so you got to teach them, even if the moment is really, really funny and really surprising, you have to find a way." And so it like reminds me, there was a Key and Peele skit I watched recently where they were in prison and they had a bunch of extras, and all of the prisoners were extras, and the prisoners were like the extras were told like, "Hey, if you think you're going to laugh in this scene, you need to just turn around and face the wall." And there was like several parts in the scene where everyone turned around and faced the wall. And I feel like that's sometimes what we got to do is like, if somebody is saying something either so outrageous or so funny that we can't handle it in the moment, we got to turn around and face the wall. Like sometimes we've got to find our shoes or the wall or the clock incredibly fascinating because we have to be cognizant of how we react. Thank you so much for watching. Want more of How to Survive the Classroom? You can watch the rest of the episode right now. Just click on that little box over there. Do you see it? And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Okay, bye.